Daniel was 54 years old when he ran the numbers. Not the fake numbers. Not the ones his financial advisor gave him with the glossy chart. His numbers. What he actually spent each year. What he actually needed to feel okay. He sat at his kitchen table at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. Calculator out, coffee going cold. And he realized something that stopped him completely. He could stop working, not in 10 years, not when he hit some mythical $1 million milestone. Now, with what he already had, $500,000 in the bank. That was it. Today, I want to show you exactly how that math works. Because if it works for Daniel, there is a very good chance it works for you too. Here is what we are going to cover. First, we will calculate what financial freedom actually costs you personally, not some generic American, you. Then we will show you how $500,000 invested correctly can generate between $25,000 and $45,000 every single year, without ever touching the principal. Then we will add the one layer almost nobody talks about in these videos. The single expense that can quietly destroy this entire plan if you ignore it. And finally, we will show you how a second income stream turns a comfortable situation into a genuinely relaxed one. By the end of this, you will know your number, and your number is probably smaller than the financial industry wants you to believe. Let's be fair to the $2 million advice for a moment. It exists for a reason. It accounts for inflation over 30 years. Unpredictable healthcare costs, market downturns, and the possibility that you live well into your 90s. If you plan to spend freely and travel in luxury, $2 million is not unreasonable. But here is where that advice quietly breaks down for most people. It assumes you need to replace your current spending, including all the spending you do specifically because you work. The commute costs, the lunches out, the work clothes, the convenience purchases you make because you are exhausted, the stress spending that quietly adds up to thousands of dollars a year, money you would never spend if your days belonged to you. When you stop working, your expenses often drop naturally, and when you build your life around what you actually enjoy, they drop even further. So before we talk about the money, we need to talk about the number that actually matters, not how much you have, how much you need. Most retirement conversations start with a portfolio number. I want to start somewhere different. I want to start with your life. Picture a Tuesday, not a vacation. Tuesday, just a regular Tuesday in the life you actually want. You wake up without an alarm. Maybe you make coffee slowly. Maybe you read or walk or call your daughter. Maybe you work on a project you have been putting off for years. What does that Tuesday actually cost? This is what Daniel did at his kitchen table that night. He stopped asking how much he needed to retire. He started asking how much his actual freedom cost per year. Here is a realistic breakdown for someone who owns their home outright. And we will come back to that. Because it is the single most powerful variable in this entire equation. Property taxes and home insurance, roughly $4,500 a year. Utilities, electricity, water, internet, around $5,000. Groceries for one person, about $3,600. Transportation without a car payment, around $2,500. Entertainment, travel and personal spending, $4,000 to $6,000. And then there is the number nobody puts in these videos. Health insurance. If you are under 65 and not yet eligible for Medicare, you could be paying anywhere from $500 to $1,200 a month out of pocket. That is $6,000 to $14,000 a year. We are going to use $9,000 as a middle estimate. Add all of that up, and you are looking at approximately $29,000 to $35,000 a year. For a single person living modestly, but not miserably. For a couple, you are looking at $42,000 to $52,000. because many fixed costs are shared. Now, here is the thing about that home ownership assumption. If you carry a mortgage into retirement, your monthly costs rise significantly. Eliminating your housing payment before you stop working is not just a nice idea. It is the most powerful single move you can make to make this strategy work. For Daniel, his mortgage had been paid off 3 years earlier. That one fact changed everything. Write down your number, your honest annual freedom cost. That is what we need $500,000 to generate. Here is the core idea, and it is simpler than the financial industry wants it to seem. When most people think about $500,000, they imagine spending it slowly until it runs out. They picture a countdown. The strategy we are talking about is the opposite of that. You are not spending the $500,000. You are putting it to work, collecting what it earns, and leaving the original amount completely untouched. Your money becomes permanent. It does not run out because you are not spending it. 2 scenarios. Conservative approach. You place your $500,000 primarily in fixed income investments, bond funds, high-yield savings products, CDs, and similar instruments. These are not exciting. They do not make headlines, but they are reliable. A reasonable expectation in today's environment is around 5% annually. 5% of $500,000 is $25,000 a year. About $2,083 landing in your account every single month. You did not work for it. You did not trade your Tuesday for it. It simply arrived. Balanced approach. If you are comfortable with slightly more movement in your account balance, a diversified mix of income-generating assets has historically produced 8 to 9% annually over the long term. Dividend-focused stock funds, bond funds, real estate investment trusts, and some cash reserves. At 8.5%, your $500,000 generates $42,500 a year, over $3,500 every month. Here is something most of these videos never mention. At the income levels we are talking about, qualified dividends and long-term capital gains are taxed at 0%. For single filers earning under roughly $47,000, that means a significant portion of your investment income may arrive completely tax-free. That single detail meaningfully changes the real-world picture, and almost nobody talks about it. Back to Daniel. His $500,000 in a balanced allocation was generating approximately $38,000 a year. His annual freedom cost, healthcare included, was $31,000. He was not just covering his expenses, he was covering them with money left over. I want to spend a moment on the objections that deserve a real answer, not a dismissal. Inflation. If your expenses rise 3% a year but your income stays flat, you slowly fall behind. This is a legitimate concern. It is why the withdrawal rate matters so much. If your portfolio generates 8.5% and you only withdraw 6 or 7%, the remaining growth compounds quietly in the background. Over time, your principal increases. Your income increases with it. The key is discipline in the withdrawal rate, especially in the early years. Market crashes. Yes, they happen. Your balance will drop in bad years. But here is the distinction that changes everything. When you live off investment returns rather than spending down the principal, a temporary dip does not change your monthly income in the same way. You are not selling shares to pay rent. You are collecting dividends and interest. During bad years, your buffer absorbs the shock. During good years, it rebuilds. Healthcare. We put it in the freedom cost calculation. But it deserves its own moment. Health insurance costs before 65 can genuinely strain this strategy if you are not prepared. Some people bridge this gap by keeping part-time or consulting work specifically for employer coverage. Others use marketplace plans and manage costs carefully. There is no single answer. But ignoring this number is the most common way people are blindsided after they stop working. And finally, sequence of returns risk. The possibility that a major market downturn happens in the first few years of retirement, before your portfolio has had time to grow. The protection here is straightforward. Keep 1 to 2 years of living expenses in cash. In a bad year, you draw from that reserve while your investments recover, rather than selling assets at a loss. None of these risks make the strategy unworkable, but all of them are worth planning for, honestly. I want to be straight with you about something. Getting to $500,000 is not easy. It requires years of patience in a culture built around spending right now. It means watching other people buy things you could afford, but choose not to. It means explaining to yourself, sometimes daily, why you are making a different choice. There will be months when the market drops and the number looks smaller. There will be moments when the finish line feels impossibly far away. Daniel had all of those moments. He sat at that kitchen table after 22 years of consistent, boring, unglamorous saving and investing. No lottery win, no inheritance, no viral business idea, just time and consistency, and a stubborn refusal to trade his future for something temporary. That is what makes the Tuesday morning moment real. It is not just a math equation. It is the reward for a very long decision. Now here is the part of this strategy that genuinely changes the picture for most people, and it is almost always treated as an afterthought. Social Security. The average benefit in 2024 is approximately $1,900 a month, about $22,800 a year for a retired worker. For a married couple where both spouses qualify, the combined monthly benefit averages close to $3,800, or roughly $45,600 annually. Here is how Daniel planned to use it. He stopped working at 55. His portfolio generated around $38,000 a year, enough to cover his $31,000 in annual expenses, with a buffer. He planned to leave his Social Security completely untouched until age 70. Every year you delay claiming past your full retirement age, your benefit grows by approximately 8%. By waiting from 62 to 70, Daniel would increase his monthly payment by more than 75% compared to claiming early. At 70, he activates the second engine. His monthly income jumps dramatically, without any additional investment. He reduces the amount he draws from his portfolio, which gives it even more room to compound. The combination of investment income and maximized Social Security creates a layered, resilient system, much harder to destabilize than either source alone. For couples, a common approach is for the higher-earning spouse to delay until 70, while the lower-earning spouse claims earlier. This maximizes the lifetime benefit, and importantly, the higher payment becomes the survivor benefit if one partner passes away first. With both engines running, a single person in Daniel's situation could bring in $55,000 to $65,000 a year. A couple with 2 Social Security benefits could see $70,000 to $90,000 annually from combined sources, well above the median American household income, without touching a single cent of principal. Daniel did not retire in the traditional sense. He stopped working for someone else. He volunteers 2 mornings a week at a food bank. He is learning woodworking, slowly, badly, and completely on his own schedule. He drives his granddaughter to school on Tuesdays, because Tuesdays belong to him now. His portfolio is not shrinking. It is growing slowly, quietly, in the background. The way a well-tended garden grows. He does not check it obsessively. He does not need to. That is what $500,000 bought him. Not luxury, not status, time, and the freedom to decide what to do with it. Here is what we covered today. Financial freedom starts with your freedom cost. The honest annual number your actual life requires, healthcare included. $500,000 invested with discipline can generate $25,000 to $42,500 annually. Without touching the principal, the risks are real. Inflation, market volatility, healthcare costs, early sequence returns. But all of them are manageable with honest planning. And Social Security, used strategically as a delayed second engine, can dramatically strengthen the entire picture. You do not need millions. You need a number, a plan, and enough patience to see it through. If this shifted how you think about retirement, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content. And if you are working through your own freedom cost calculation, drop a question in the comments. I read everyone. There is one thing we did not cover today that changes this calculation entirely for some people. What happens to this strategy if you still carry debt when you try to retire? The answer is more nuanced than most people expect, and it is what we are covering next.